It's on. All right. Hello. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Can you please confirm if the audio video seems all right? Vaibhav, hi. I can see you on the chat box. Hi, Karthik. Good morning, Heath. How are you doing? Okay, I think it's still loading up. I can see a few questions. I'm live, right? I can see a few questions on the chat box. All right. Hi, Omkar. Hero Alom 28. Okay, thank you for confirmation. Hi, Rakesh. How are you doing today? Thank you. Okay, let's start. Again, agenda for today 20 minutes. We're having uh, general conversation. You can ask me questions on CFA prep, FRM prep, finance career, jobs, anything around that. I'll be very happy to answer. I'll start with the first question asked by Heath. Heath says, Hi, hey Sensei, uh, please advise me on how to master in Python and communication skills. Which book should I read? Uh, whom video should I watch? How can I become absolute great in this area? Okay. Two parts to that question, Heath. One is on Python. For that piece, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to advise. I myself tried learning Python a few times. I know basics, but nothing too advanced. My source of learning was basically uh, mostly watching some videos on YouTube and then trying to brute force some project in Python. Right? So, like, pick up something, let's say building an efficient frontier. If I had to learn today, maybe I don't even need a YouTube video. I can just figure out the whole thing with the help of ChatGPT, right? I mean, build a few commands, see how it works, and so on. But again, I think someone who's an expert might be able to advise you better on Python. Communication skills is a fairly broad area, multiple pieces within communication skills. But I don't think you learn communication skills by reading books. Of course, they help to a certain extent, but it's more of a skill that requires a lot of practice. Uh, so if I were you, maybe I will find some sort of a coach or a mentor. I think especially for such personal skills, a mentor comes in very handy because then they can help you identify your mistakes and you can learn faster. So maybe the city I live in, I'll go and see if there are any good educational institutions that will help me build on to the communication skills, right? And again, as I said, communication is variety of different metrics. I'll tell you what I did. Um my language of communication was I just couldn't construct sentences in English properly, and probably even today I struggle, but back in the day it was quite significant. But my way of approaching was I remember very well. I used to go to a place in Pune that used to teach public speaking, and their approach was right on day one they'll put you on a stage, give you a mic in your hand, and then there would be some audience which are your class members, and then you would speak on some topics, and you practice that every day, and when you do it, after a while automatically you start feeling more confident and learn better. So that's what I would do, Heath. All right. Second question is Samlesh Raj, who is asking, I'm working in SEBI RI office in tier 2 city. Is it a good idea? Um, I think it's a fantastic idea. I think the next wave of growth of financialization in India will actually come from the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6. I mean, if they exist, right? The next set of the cities. If you look at what's happening in India now, I mean, we very proudly say that we are, 140 crore or 150 crore people, but technically, all the products, and if you live in a city in India, everything that you see around you, right? It's kind of a bubble. There are just 10% of the population, maybe 10 to 15 crore people, who are invested in the markets, who are participating in mutual funds, who are consumers of most of the businesses. But there is this 85% population which probably isn't making a lot of money at the moment, maybe not a part of financial services ecosystem, but these guys will come eventually. So I believe to set up a retail facing financial services businesses in India, tier 2, tier 3 are fantastic places to be in. Less competition, but also that means requires higher level of education. Okay, so I'm assuming you're looking for a job with an RI. I think it's a beautiful opportunity. You should grab it with both hands. Next one, tier 6 is Pune. Okay, I mean, fine. Pune has been a mess. Pune used to be a beautiful city. When I came in here, used to love the city. Now it's just all chaos, especially in monsoons. It's miserable. Abhishek is asking the next question. Can you please elaborate on the SEBI RI? Sure. I'll just give you an overview of how it works. Maybe for this question, I'll use my screen. Again, I'm not an expert on legal matters, but I'll tell you what I know. Again, fact check and verify. But generally, if I want to operate, the regulatory structure in India looks a little bit like this, right? So different SEBI compliances. I have an option of getting a research analyst license. I can get a RI license from SEBI being the financial regulator. So this is research analyst. This is, I spell it wrong, registered investment advisor. Registered investment advisor. Then, you have different licenses, right? So you can get a PMS license or a AIF license or a mutual fund license. Now, when you get PMS, AIF, mutual fund licenses from SEBI, of course, which are slightly more difficult to take, but you're becoming more or more like a manufacturer, right? Manufacturer means you're designing a mutual fund and then people will consume, your product, right? And then you charge them some fee. Alternatively, if you get it's not a SEBI license, but let's say if you get a mutual fund distribution license, we generally call that as an ARN number from AMFI, then you're more of a distributor. These guys will manufacture the products, and as a distributor, you will sell the products. In between, we have these two opportunities. Now, the way RA works in India is you're technically a research analyst that allows you to write reports on particular stocks. On these reports, you can add a buy and sell recommendation, right? So that's fantastic. But what you cannot do generally under a RA license is to basically design a portfolio. Okay, at least to my understanding, I can have a model portfolio, but I cannot recommend clients on how to invest their money because that's not under the ambit of RA. So this, I believe, is a fantastic license for anyone in today's market. If you want to build an equity research subscription service. Okay, I'm not talking about the scams that run on Telegram, but some legitimate businesses where you pay an annual fee and then you get access to the equity research portal, maybe where you get a list of 10, 20, 30, 40 stocks. and their research reports and your rationale on why to buy, why to sell, and so on, right? So that's your RA model. Now, on the other side, what is an RI model? So if you want to get into a business of designing a proper portfolio management sort of a business where you want to meet clients, understand their risk profile, their situation, ability to take risk, willingness, all of that situation, and then you recommend or design a portfolio for them. Okay, and for this, you charge them an annual fee, okay, or a quarterly fee. So which means if you do an RI business in India, you're essentially charging clients for a fee. Now, what's been the big debate, right, in India for years is a big debate is, will a client pay fee for financial advice, or do clients pay fees for financial advice? Okay, that's the question. Now, those people who believe that yes, Indian clients will be willing to pay some level of fees, for them RI is an excellent model, because then you don't earn the commissions under RI, but you recommend them, you design the portfolio, then you charge them an annual fee, right? It could be percentage of the portfolio, it can be flat fee, it could be something like, I think at least I know in big cities the fee is about 20,000 to 50,000 rupees, could be higher, lower, depending on the complexity. But if you believe that, clients don't pay, clients will probably pay in a bull market, but none of the clients will be willing to pay a fee for a financial advice in a bear market. And if you believe that, then but you still want to do a client facing business, then maybe a mutual fund distribution is a more attractive opportunity for you, right? So that's roughly the landscape. To my knowledge, RI model in India has not been very successful. I've heard we had some close to 2,000 registered investment advisors under SEBI portal, but we have close to 200,000 mutual fund distributors, maybe more, right? So the number there's a massive undersupply of RIs, and primarily because of regulatory framework, right? The SEBI has made RI business quite difficult to execute. There is a limit on the fee that you charge, limit on how you charge the fee. The compliance is a big headache, and therefore a lot of people are reluctant to be in the RI space. So hopefully that gives you a little perspective. And back to YouTube, I'll take a few more questions if I have any. Abhishek, hopefully that answered the query. Let me look at the next question. It's coming from Zishan Saifi. He says, sir, I'm a level 1 candidate appearing for November. My preparation is not so good. Give me some tips for my exams and also for my preparation. Right. So Zishan, in order to give you some meaningful advice, it would have helped me to know a little bit more in terms of where you are. But in general, I think here is what we recommend level 2 candidates, an average level 2 candidate, assuming you've prepared reasonably okay so far. What we've been recommending candidates is take your exam date. Let's say it happens to be November 15th. And then deduct 60 days from it, right? And go backwards. That should be what, 15th of September, I guess, right? Somewhere around that. Now, this is today. What we recommend candidates is that they finish 100% of their syllabus at least 60 days before the exams. Okay, now I'm not sure if you can manage to pull that off because I don't know how much time you have available with you. But from today to 15th of September, you're looking at about 15 days, right? If you feel you can pull this off, you're in a very comfortable shape. If you feel that no, it's going to be a little tough to finish it in 15 days, maybe you can borrow 10 days from this cycle to here, right? But ideally, this is the date that we recommend. Now, once you've done that and you've saved yourself 60 days, then we have this thing called a 60-day iPass strategy. Okay, because see, every candidate is different, and you have different requirement in terms of preparation. But we've noticed that this is a fairly comprehensive strategy which works for most of the candidates. I'll show you how that strategy works. I'll have to go to FinTree website to download that document though. Okay, feel free to take a screenshot of this if you do not have access to this particular doc. But this is the strategy that we have for last 60 days. I'm guessing it's visible on my screen. What we recommend candidates is spend day one writing a mock. Okay, and we recommend you to write the first mock without having revised substantially, right? The reason why we recommend to do that is it's kind of sets you up for the final 60 days. The moment you write mock, you kind of get a feel of where you are in overall scheme of things. So start with mock without revision, and then spend the next days 5 days revising. So you do the crash course. Now either you have access to FinTree portal, so you do a crash course. If not, figure out some other way to revise the syllabus. Then after this, write one mock, take 2 days in between. Okay, and what you do in those 2 days is you work on all the weak subjects that you had in the previous mock. So same story, mock 3, mock 4, mock 5, mock 6, mock 7. So roughly first 24 days are deployed in writing these 7 mocks. Now here we recommend you to do crash course, all the blue box videos, all end of the chapter questions one more time. For this we invest another 5 days, and then we get on to learning ecosystem, right? So we solve all the CFA LES questions, but we solve them horizontally, as in 2 questions from derivative, FRA and so on. And then you write CFA Institute mock 1, revise again, CFA Institute mock 2, revise again. Final few days before the exam, do the juice notes, and then take the exams, right? That's roughly the structure. So feel free to follow if you feel that works for you. All right, I'm back on YouTube screen again. Shukla Shalini says, came here to say hello only. All right, hi Shalini, how have you been? Zishan, I'm from Jaipur, non-finance background. Okay. Abhishek responded to the question. Abhishek said mostly people take advice from MFDs or YouTube videos. Yeah, I mean, see, we don't have that level of awareness in the country today, especially on the retail side. But things are changing slowly. I've seen HNI segment in the last few years have started showing willingness to pay a fee, right? So that's happening, and maybe over a period of time it will happen even better. Okay, time for one last question. So please feel free to post all your queries. I'll pick one and try and answer that now. All right. I have a question on level 3 by Dharanish. Anu has asked question on jobs, country to study after MBA, future for controls in finance. Dharanish, which pathway? Okay. Let's start with Prabhat. Prabhat, hi, how are you? I think last time when we met was in that yoga class. After that, never saw you. No, I'm not doing a crash course for part 2, and I don't think FRM part 2 is a type of course where crash course helps because there's so much of theory and very difficult to identify what's important, what's not. If you're preparing, I'll encourage you to have a look at the main videos. I think we put in tremendous amount of efforts in recording some of the theoretical sections. You'll find them useful. For FRM Part 2, all the subjects are taught by me except the ops risk. For operation risk, we had different instructors, but all the other credit risk, liquidity market risk, you'd find my videos. All right. Then someone asked on which pathway is better at L3. Dharanish, I still love portfolio management. So here's what I recommend people. If you are good at derivatives and fixed income at L1 and L2 and you enjoyed them, I think PM is a fantastic choice. It's mathematical, it's calculation based, it's enjoyable. But if you feel that numbers was not your strongest suite and you want to do something that's theory and relatively easier, I'll recommend you take private markets. What I do not like at level 3, at least the current curriculum, is private wealth, because I feel you end up spending, good at least 40-50 hours learning that material, but the incremental value add is very, very low. So learning, it's not fun, it's very boring, it's frustrating, there's a lot of redundancy. So choose between either PM or private markets. PM probably is the best choice for most of the level 3 candidates. Okay, how can software engineers prepare for level 1 for a pivot in finance? Anu, I mean, it's straightforward. The preparation is same. Since you don't have a background in finance, I would recommend it's kind of an advantage for you to prepare for CFA, because then you can learn the finance the way it should be learned. Maybe what you can do, Anu, is we have a free course on FinTree portal called Level 0. It's a 20-hour course. Go sign up, watch the videos, see if you like it. If you like it, then you start preparing for L1. All right, Rajiv, this is the last question I'm going to answer. CFA Institute has missed something in syllabus, I believe, understanding cost structure of businesses for equity research analyst. Simple leverage analysis only and no in-depth industry-wise cost concept, how to gain. Rajiv, I don't think CFA Institute has missed cost concept. I think there's a lot of elaborate discussion at first level and second level. For example, in level 1, if you look at LM5 and onwards, we have topics on inventory, long-lived assets, all of that eventually translates, some of that translates to your P&L, right? Either in the form of depreciation, inventory cost. In the equity section, there's a lot of qualitative discussion on different business models. It's also there in corporate issuers. Some people try to be cost leader. Some people try to do a product differentiation. So that piece is dealt with. Then again, at level 1 in financial modeling, you have detailed cost modeling on how to model, every component on the P&L. And of course, anything else, which is business specific, can be learned online. But I think they give you enough tools to be able to handle the real life situations well. Okay. What else? I said one question, but I can see some very interesting questions coming up here. Someone is asking, will CFA help? Anu is asking, software engineering, pivot to equity research or backend IB for PMBA roles. CFA level 1 will definitely help, though I would recommend not working in anything that's back office. Jitesh is asking, guide me about FRM part 1. Jitesh, something a little bit specific would have been helpful. Rahul is asking, I'm doing a job good after doing CFA, is better or doing freelancing finance work from Upwork? I would prefer to work, because then see, the learning on the job happens through your peers and your seniors, right? Your bosses. And I always recommend people that don't choose a company, choose a boss, right? It's very critical that in the first few years of your career, You get to work with the right set of people. Majority of your learning comes from there. If you do freelancing work, you don't get opportunity to work with other, peers who've done this similar work 15, 20 years. So maybe you're missing out on a learning opportunity. It's like, during COVID, a lot of kids did not did not go to school, right? Did they miss out on something? Of course they did, because one part of learning was happening on the internet, Zoom and whatnot, but there was a lot of peer-to-peer learning that was missing out. Same with you. Anxious Annie Nix Gaming. Thank you for your effort. I'm preparing for level 1. It's going great. I want to ask how to find a good podcast to have more overall idea and knowledge about business, any YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, I follow a few. I think in one of the earlier videos, I did list them out. There's a channel called G2G Ajay. Ajay was an ex-CLSA analyst, and I think now he works with Edelweiss, I guess, I'm not sure. But I really like the way he thinks about businesses and stocks, so that you can follow. SOIC in India is fantastic. If you're looking at Indian equities, Ishmohit has been doing a phenomenal job, so you can listen to him. Zerodha, I think, has plenty of good podcasts, so you can listen to them. I mean, these days I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to a lot back in the day, but I think for me, realization, at least for last 1 year, has been that I was consuming a lot of information, but I wasn't using a lot of that information. So I decided to kind of slow down the rate of consumption, absorb less, but reflect more. And that's what I've been trying to do for a year. So far, it's working out well. But sure, if you're a beginner, I think that's a good place to start. At times, I believe I learn more by listening to earning con calls than podcast. So maybe I will, make sure if I'm a finance student, I'll read in India, HDFC Bank podcast, gives me whole perspective of what's happening in the economy and banks. I will definitely read Bajaj Finance earning call. I will read Arman Financial. I think they have fantastic con calls. So I will read Arman. Maybe I will read, one or two FMCG companies con calls. That should be good enough to give me perspective of what's happening in the country. Okay. Manav is asking, I want to prepare for L2 for FinTree. What is the procedure? Just call up the support team, check with them, sign up, start attending classes. Which country to study MBA rather than US? Assuming you've answered the question of why MBA, which I feel 90% of the candidates don't know, and they want to probably do it because everyone else is doing it. But assuming you're clear about that, and then if I had to choose some place, I think I would still be, even in the current environment, if I had to choose, I would still choose US. Because honestly, I don't see anything else that's as attractive as what US could be. Maybe Singapore is NUS and NTU, these two good universities in Singapore, but apart from that, I don't think anything. If you study in Hong Kong, you need to know Mandarin to find jobs. Last week, one of my students from Germany called me. She said she speaks basic German, by the way, and she did an MBA in some good school there. She said, I've been working for 2-3 years, but I'm not getting promoted because my German is not as fluent as the locals. So language is a big barrier. Visas are big barriers in Europe. So Canada, we all know what has happened there, right? Especially with Indian students. So what I'll do, maybe if I were at your place, first I'll decide if MBA is really necessary. Let's assume the answer is yes. Second, I will decide when to time it, right? Because there's so much of uncertainty at the moment. you go to a B school now, you graduate in, let's say, about 18 to 24 months. You don't know how the situation will look like. So I would rather wait for some visibility, since it's a big decision. You end up committing close to 70 lakhs to a few crores for a good USB school. So I will wait for a couple of years, see how the environment turns out, and in the meanwhile, I can get some valuable experience here in India. Okay. All right, Mayank, I'm a CA working in JP Morgan FP&A for wealth management. Any tips to move laterally to front end roles? I don't know. All these big investment banks, I really don't know if they recruit enough people from India for the front office roles. Very few of them. Maybe talk to some of the people on the floor, your seniors, see if anyone is able to do it. Find some contacts, and through take their advice. I think those people who might have done it will be able to give you better advice than I would be able to do it. Okay, I left CA because I didn't find any interest. Hello, Utkarsh sir. I've just dropped out from CA. I want to make a career in finance. From where I have to start, what I have to pursue, because I'm confused. Uh, Virendra, I think my recommendation to you is I am not really a big fan of. I know you've already taken the decision, and maybe I'm increasing your complexity. Uh, but I'm not a big fan of dropping out of CA uh, because you feel CFA is easier to pass, because we get a lot of students like that. And I always tell them, what if tomorrow you find CFA difficult? Then would you drop it because you're not passing the exams? But if your reason is that, hey, I don't want to work in taxation, I don't want to work in auditing, and I think I'm reasonably sure that I would like to explore finance, then maybe CFA is not a bad option. And if you want to get started, I think a good starting point for you. We have a level 0 course. It'll give you, it's like a trailer, before seeing an actual movie. The trailer happens to be of 20 hours. Spend some time, see if you enjoy the material, the style, and if you feel that's something that you would like to do, then start studying. It's that simple. Ayush is asking, I have engineering background. Is it possible to clear level 1 if I start now? Possible, but not ideal, Ayush. Um, I'm assuming you have a full-time job. With the volume of CFA curriculum now with a full-time job, I mean, these days we recommend people to prepare for about 10 months minimum. So if you're starting now, maybe August next year or May next year would be a better idea. Feb is doable, but it will be rushed. And the problem with rushed learning is then you're focused a lot on just getting through the exams rather than truly learning the material. For example, let's say you come across something called as, let's say, green bonds in your syllabus. Okay, there's this thing called green bonds, which is nothing but environment friendly bonds. Now, one way of learning is that I read about green bonds, I understand what that is, I know what kind of question will come on the exam, I'm done. The second layer of learning is now I go on the internet and look at which are the green bonds issued in the last 5 years, who are the biggest issuer, who are the buyers, why are they buying, how is the yield on a green bond different than a regular bond. So I can do a lot of peripheral learning that helps me build a good foundation for finance career. And I believe that's the way to learn, right? Learning is basically a process of satisfying your curiosity, and a curriculum just gives you a structured way to approach it. So if I were at your place, I would have probably looked at August next year, give myself ample time to explore and enjoy level 1 curriculum. Okay. Rajiv says, sir, would love a video on career guidance and role for L1, L2, L3 candidate. And Rajiv, I've done a lot of videos on career guidance on this series. Maybe if you go through some of the YouTube material, you should be able to find something. Okay, looks like we're done. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next Saturday. Same format, about 20-25 minutes. I'll try and answer all the questions you have. Thank you very much. I'll see you again.